Okay, so chat. Let's have a talk. Odyssey. Now, normally I would wait for all of the patch notes to be released and stuff. Let's come back to this. Normally, I would wait for all the patch notes to be released before, talking about what we're getting. But this one is especially interesting. And it says the next version update is scheduled for mid-January, which makes sense. That's normal. January brings along with it updates to Ambuscade and Odyssey. Updates to Ambuscade usually just implies that they're just doing another Ambu. Like, I don't know if this, unless this Tiger is actually volume 1 and not volume 2, maybe they're referring to getting a whole new fight altogether, which would be really cool, but this is probably just a picture of the volume 2 fight. But this is a picture of Bumba, and that's where things get interesting. So, again, normally I wouldn't say anything. I would just wait for the updates to come up and be like, oh, cool, so they made this little change or that little change. But this one got me thinking, and it's been having, and as I found out, it's been causing conversation on the forums as well. So, to me, when I first read that changes are coming to Odyssey, my mind immediately went to, oh, great, they're going to allow us to hold more KIs. Or allow the Moogle to store more KIs, similarly to the way that Omen went. Omen started, you could get one or hold one or whatever it was, I don't remember exactly, but then, I think it was then 2, then 3 that the Goblin would store for you. Feel free to correct me if I'm wrong on that one. But for a while now, people have wanted, and Odyssey's been out for over a year now, right? As far as the NMs go. Actually, I don't even remember how long it's been. So, has it been, is it going on a year? When did the NMs come out? I feel like it was early 2021. I could be wrong. So we're looking at more like 8 months. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's right, Tech Tam. Maybe March. So whatever, people have been asking for a while now to hold more KIs that way, specifically for segments. So segments have been out way longer, and like for a large portion of the time, players weren't even earning segments because we had no idea what they would be spent on. So it was like not a priority, and the little bit of rewards they did give us like didn't make sense at all. So that was where my mind first jumped to. It's like, okay, they're going to allow us to hold more KIs, similar to the Omen updates. And then somebody else I was talking to brought up the idea of reducing the cost of your Moglophone 2 from 3K down to, say, 1K. That way you can spend more time fighting NMs and less time having to grind segments. So overall making it easier for new players or players who are just getting into this content to kind of catch up to where current players are, while players who are current in the content are, while players who are current in the content can finish capping off whatever last pieces they need maybe, but generally, would be moving on at about this point in the content's life cycle. Unless, and this is where the question comes up in the forums, unless they are increasing the rank cap on our current on the Odyssey gear. And this has been posted by Chiaya here on the forums. They do data mining stuff where basically looking into the DATs and seeing seeing what's there. And by reading through this post in the forums, you'll see that they point out that originally when the ranks were looked at in the DAT files, that it went up to R30, but there were no filled in values. So specifically, like, I'm going to show you the Gladys Cuirass. And there's like This is where it went. This is where it goes currently. You can get up to, R15. What am I saying? R20. You can get up to R20 currently. How do I? There. And originally in the DATs, I vaguely remember seeing it go up to like 25, where there were numbers, and then after 25, this is during the original when the items got updated or inserted to the game for the first time. Again, this player checked the DATs, and you could see up and 26 through 30 were just like blank. There were no numbers filled in. So this is where the kind of like the question comes up: is SE added later on these values into the game? These were not here, months ago when this gear was released. So, Gleddy's Curious is a good example because it's one of my favorite like non like Niame items or non Sekpada items. Double attack 5 or double attack 7 rather, attack 20, some accuracy. Like this is just a good item for like certain sets. And then it gets up to DA 10 and attack 30 when you rank it up to 30. But how far is that? That is correct. Okay, awesome. So, look at this. So, a full X9 run is like 3,500. And so, at around rank 20, so somewhere after 25, it's going to be one full run with an X9 amplifier in order to get one rank and one item. All that to say, my point here, are we getting ranks past 20? And if so, are we getting difficulties past V15? That's my real question. A lot of people, myself included, sort of struggled for their A3 clears, V15 A3 clears. Those fights are not straightforward. Now, I can imagine, like, if I were doing, let's choose an example, Kalunga. If I were progging Kalunga V15 win over the course of a couple of weeks until the point where we got it nice and smooth, I could potentially then farm that win going forward. But that's really not what players are doing. They're getting their V15 clears on the A3 mobs and moving on to V15 Bumba, finishing RP on that, and then going back and using like minimum viable comps to do 5% damage on, say, Kalunga or Ngai in order to gain the full RP from your Mog amplifier, and then moving on to another minimum viable comp for 5% damage, and basically farming RP across multiple mobs rather than spending your effort getting a full clear. Why do I bring that up? Because, like, if I were to go fight Kalunga today and I put a group together, we might not get a win first try. We'd have to take multiple tries in order to get that win. And that's where a lot of players are. So, all that said, could we increase the difficulty of these fights? Yes. Would that be higher RP involved? I hope so, because at what point are you saying I'm going to spend X amount of, minutes of my life each week getting enough segments in order to go and fight a V20, let's say a V20 fight, in order to get one rank up on one piece of armor? Is that something players want to be doing? Like, are we already done with this content and we don't want to farm it for another 6 months? The Sekpada's helm is really interesting. This one is nuts. Look at this. Double attack damage 10 to double attack damage 15. Like, first of all, double attack damage 10 is a lot. That's a literal 10% multiplier onto your damage from any double attack that you do in an attack round, not in a weapon skill. At least I don't think it's in a weapon skill. Either way, it's crazy for like aim 3 crits on like an Ukon. But I think like 5% more damage is like, this is a ridiculous stat, double attack. I would totally work on this piece first. But where really really the kind of thing that like changes the game here is the Neame. Once again, it's always the Neame. It's this great equalizer in the game right now. Sekpada. Oh, here's the weapons, by the way. Who was it? Tektam, you asked how the weapons would stack up at R30. It really depends upon your view on the weapons in general. Like Sekpada's sword, like people generally, I mean, yeah, you can do like Savage Blade and stuff in this, and it's got cool tank stats. But as far as like going from rank 20 to rank 30 goes, you gain 4 base damage, 10 attack, 10 accuracy. Like those are fine additions, but they're not game changing at all. The Gleddy's knife is the one that I know is getting some use. Yeah, exactly. They don't get any custom stats or anything on them. Okay, we're all the way down to Neame. I'm going to check the Gleddy's knife real quick before we move on. Oh, there we go. I can just do that. Kenga's axe, Agu's claymore, Gleddy's knife. So Gleddy's knife right now is, I mean, it's pretty solid. Like, people are using it, but it doesn't really matter. Like once you get to like R15, base damage of 8, attack of 30, the amount of climb it would take to get you then to say R25 for 2 base damage, 10 attack, and 10 accuracy, which the accuracy is linear increase across the way. Like, just, I can't imagine it's worth the grind. Not when you have like Rima and stuff you could be putting more effort into. But let's take a look at Neame. Bunzi's Rod. Neame A. So Neame A, for example, let's take the body, because I know that piece is one that I made for my Bard, because I didn't get a Shira for him. R20, STP of 10, PDL 3. Oh my gosh. R30 gives you STP of 15, an extra 5 STP, which is respectable. Extra 10 accuracy across the board. PDL goes from 3 to 7. 7 PDL. That's a lot. The gauntlets go from 10 STP to 14, so they gain an extra 4 STP. And again, this is the Path A, which is like less common. Let's take a look at the Path B stuff. So yeah, so the STP looks to be going up about 4 or 5 across the board. Which of course is, like, the more STP you stack, the better. If you're making Path A, you're making it for a reason. And that reason is to have all the STP and all the defensive stats you want. Okay. Take a look at Neame B here, and then this will be it for the stream, or for the video, I think. So we have Neame B, WSD of 8, DA. These are the important numbers. DA of 2. So this is the helm. The helm gets 3 WSD, 3 DA. That's huge. I mean, plus 10 attack, plus 10 accuracy, right? Attack? 6 to 35. Wait, 25 to 35. Yeah, I highlighted the wrong one. 25 to 35, so 10 attack, 3 WSD, 3 DA. And that's just the helm. The body, 3 WSD, 4 DA. I mean, the double attack on this is going to be rivaling Sekpada. What does the Sekpada get? Isn't the double attack native to Sekpada? So you may be eclipsing the Sekpada soon. Sekpada, here we go. Wait, no, that was the weapon. Alpaca. Okay. Here's the legs. The legs get more skill chain damage. The hands get more STP, which they were already being used for that. Resistance to status ailments. Yeah. So Sekpada, now I have Sekpada on my warrior. Sekpada gets a native 8 DA on the body, 6 on the hands, 4 on the feet, so 5 on the head, so 4 to 8 from the lowest piece to the highest piece, right? Now at this point, if you're making Neame B for its weapon skill damage and its attack value, like again, which is what most players are doing, you're then gaining, here's Neame Male B, you're then gaining 3 WSD and 7 DA. So you're 1 less than Sekpada. You're already TPing in Sekpada in your, if you're using that for its defensive stats. You're already TPing in Sekpada. I mean, plus it has PDL. So you can't take that away from the Sekpada. It has all that PDL. So it's gonna have its own value. But you're almost as much DA. And that's insane. So once again, we're going from 8 to 11 WSD. On the gauntlets, 2 to 5, so 3 and 3. The legs, 9 to 12, 3 to 6, 3 and 3. So it's looking like 3 and 3, except for the body, which has 3 and 4. And the feet, 8 and 2 to 11 and 5. So 4 and 3. So feet are 4 and 3. The rest are 3 and 3, except the body, which is 3 and 4. Right? Double check that. Yeah, from 10 and 3 to 3 and 7. Yeah. So, sort of an insane boost. Again, normally I wouldn't even bring this stuff up until after we get our update notes and we see what's going on. But I guess I'm interested to chat. What do you think? What do you think? What do you think is coming with this update? Are we getting KIs stored? Are we getting reduced cost for Moglophone 2s? Are we getting ranks above 20? Are we getting increased vengeance levels in terms of difficulty? What is your bet? Where would you put your money right now? Fixing up miscellaneous glitches, maybe an extra Moglophone storage. I can see... I mean, here's the thing. Do they do something like patch out? Do they patch out the way amps work, you know, and makes it so you have to get the win? Like, is that something that would they basically be nerfing people going forward with this content and giving all that value to the people who got in early? I would love that, Shadow Abuser. Like, personally, I would love to say, hey, let's do B tonight because XYZ players need hides instead of feathers. You mean like a nerf on denounce? Or what is it, denouement? Is it denouncement? Yeah, that move? Are you talking about maybe doing a nerf on that? And yeah, like you, I'd like to see more bosses, I guess. But that would have to come at an increase, like... Oh, you mean more bosses? As in, like, more mobs to fight. I personally would say that they're leaning away from that. I think Odyssey, as far as release of mobs is concerned, I think we're done. It still does over 100% damage if it's a TP move during proc phase. Ouch. I see what you're saying. So it's not even just that it needs a nerf, it's actually, it could be bugged. If we could store more Moglophone 1s, just like Void Stones. Yes, I mean, that's immediately where my mind went to, is that we're getting the ability to store more canteens. And that would make, like, personally, I would do 3 runs in a night instead of 2. And just not feel like I have to log in. Granted, I personally have been taking a sort of break from, like, I used to do 5 days a week of Odyssey stuff, and now I'm down to 2. And that was after a long break. It's just like, it was too much grind. your friends log in and only do one run. I mean, it's like that. It's, you know, I hope that you can do 2 at some point, but it is grind content, and you know that's not for everybody. And in terms of catch up, Lyco, I mean, yeah, like for somebody like you who just hit 99, like I think you're still a little far from doing Odyssey necessarily. Sort of this topic is really this is really the end game. Like FF11's end game kind of spans a lot of content, and but like in terms of like a spectrum of like beginner end game to like current release end game, this topic is really for current release of end game, and for players who have kind of grinded out like everything. Because when you start looking at, say, I mean, Nayame B R30 is, first of all, it's game changing for a reason. Like, this is where everybody's focus would be. But you're not even going to be seeing players with a full set of Sekpada B, or I mean Sekpada augmented anytime soon if this does release up to R30. What? These are organized weird. Like, just the sheer amount of time it's going to take players to get groups together and augment from 25 to 30 on one piece of, say, Empaka, compared to, like, Nayame is going to be... It's going to be a trip. So we're looking at about 6 months until you start seeing anything but Nayame. Maybe not 6 months, maybe more like 4. M level, we don't have any word on that at all. It's assumed that we just got a taste of M level, and that they have a specific number in mind going into the 20th anniversary. That's what the current assumption is. Anyway, I'm gonna wrap this up as a YouTube video for now. Sound off in the comments below what you think we're getting and what you're hoping for. But those are two different things, right? What you want from this and what you think we're honestly gonna get. Because SE could surprise us, but also they could be really generous with this content. So catch you later, YouTube. Peace out.